Welcome to a brand new horror story that will chill you to the core. Tonight, we follow a seemingly ordinary pizza delivery that takes a dark and unexpected twist. It's late at night in an exclusive neighborhood full of grand villas and manicured lawns. Our story begins with a delivery worker, tired but determined to finish his last order, delivering 5 large pizzas to one of the city's most luxurious neighborhoods. But when he arrives, nothing about the place seems quite right. A darkened house, an eerie silence, and a garden that looks neglected. Something is wrong here, but he's already come too far to turn back. What happens next is something that will change his life forever. Stay with us as we unravel the unsettling events of the last delivery at midnight. If you love these chilling tales, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and share the story with your friends. Let's dive into the mystery together, if you dare. It was a typical quiet evening at the pizza restaurant, with the clock ticking toward closing time. The delivery worker, Jake, was exhausted from a long shift and eager to finish his last orders when a peculiar one came in. 5 large pizzas to be delivered to a high-end neighborhood, a gated community known for its lavish homes and manicured gardens. The order was strange, arriving just minutes before the restaurant was about to close. Jake hesitated, but his manager insisted it had to be delivered, as losing such a large order would be a financial hit. As Jake set off for the 30-minute drive to the location, the streets grew more desolate, with only the occasional street lamp illuminating his path. The night air was cool and silent, adding to the eerie feeling that seemed to grow with each passing minute. As Jake drove deeper into the neighborhood of sprawling mansions, something about the order felt off, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. When he arrived at the address, the house stood before him, large, grand, but distinctly different from its neighbors. While the other homes gleamed with luxury and well-maintained lawns, this house seemed abandoned. The grass was overgrown, the windows dark, and the paint on the walls chipped. Yet the order had been placed from this address, and Jake was obligated to deliver it. Jake stood at the large iron gate, looking through the bars into the darkness beyond. The garden looked unkempt, the villa looming large and ominous in the background. The gate was ajar, which seemed strange for such a neighborhood where security was always tight. He hesitated but knew he had to try delivering the pizzas. He called the restaurant to confirm the address, and his manager urged him to proceed. After all, they couldn't afford to lose such a big order. His next step was to contact the owner directly, but each time he called the phone number given, there was no answer. Usually in upscale places like this, there would be a doorman or someone to receive deliveries, but no one was around. The eerie silence enveloped him. Jake shouted, "Hello? Pizza delivery." But the sound of his voice seemed to vanish into the thick, unnatural quiet. With no other choice, he cautiously entered through the front gate and walked toward the inner door of the villa. The garden was overgrown with weeds, and a strange smell hung in the air. He knocked on the door, rang the bell several times, but nothing. No sound, no light, no movement. Jake was ready to leave, assuming the order must have been a prank, but as he turned to walk away, he froze. A faint sound came from inside the villa, a low, indistinct creaking, as though something or someone was moving within. He paused, unsure if he should investigate further or simply report the order as undeliverable. Against his better judgment, he called out again, louder this time. "I'm the pizza delivery guy. Is anyone here?" The creaking stopped, followed by a chilling silence. His heartbeat quickened as he approached the door once more. This time, instead of knocking, he pressed his ear against it. Through the heavy wood, he thought he heard faint footsteps, slow, deliberate. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up. Without warning, the door creaked open slightly. No one stood on the other side, but the gap was enough to reveal the darkened hallway inside. Something wasn't right. Jake knew it in his gut. His instincts told him to leave, but curiosity, or perhaps a sense of duty, compelled him to push the door open wider. Jake stepped inside, immediately enveloped by the darkness of the villa. The air was heavy, thick with dust and the smell of decay. He could barely make out the furniture and decorations through the faint moonlight streaming in from the windows. The house felt abandoned, yet lived in, as though someone or something had been there recently. As he made his way deeper into the house, the strange noises grew louder. It wasn't just footsteps now. There was a whispering, an unnatural guttural sound that seemed to echo through the walls. Jake tried to call out again, but his voice trembled. Suddenly he heard a door slam behind him. Panic set in as he realized he was no longer alone. His breath quickened as shadows began to shift around him. In the dim light, he saw fleeting glimpses of figures, distorted, unnatural shapes moving toward him. The house itself seemed alive, breathing with malevolent energy. Jake turned to run, but the door to the outside had slammed shut. Trapped, he could only watch as the shadows closed in. The last thing he saw before everything went black was a pair of glowing eyes staring at him from the darkness. The next morning, the pizza restaurant received several calls from concerned family members. Jake had never returned from his delivery. Authorities arrived at the villa only to find it abandoned, as it had been for years. No trace of Jake, the pizzas, or anything living was ever found inside. The villa, it seemed, had a reputation, a place where people disappeared, leaving nothing behind but unanswered questions and lingering fears. And though no one ever saw Jake again, locals say, if you walk past that house late at night, you can still hear the faint echo of a delivery driver calling out for someone to answer. Thank you for joining me on this chilling journey through The Last Delivery at Midnight. I hope you enjoyed the twists and turns of this eerie tale. If you made it to the end, you're truly a horror fan, and I appreciate your time and support. There's plenty more terror to come, so stay tuned for more spine-tingling stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell so you never miss another story, and share this with your friends who love a good scare. Until next time, stay safe and keep the lights on.